Do you find that you get exhausted really easily, and maybe you've lived with this vague question mark as to what it is because you don't know why you get exhausted in certain situations and it doesn't hang together with what you know yourself to be capable of? That's what we're going to look at today. What's happening, what could be going on, what we can do about it, and why sometimes in fixing this more is more. You may have been living for years with this vague question mark of what's going on. You've gone and you've checked out with your GP or anyone else any underlying medical conditions, and there's nothing physically wrong with you, but there's this discord that you may be semi-conscious of, that I can go and be physically active, I can go hiking for hours and be essentially fine, but then I go to work and I'm absolutely exhausted even though I'm sat down and I'm not on the surface of it doing anything anywhere near as physically demanding as when I go hiking. So this can be really confusing because what's going on? We understand that when we're physically active we lose energy, but actually going to work and sitting down is not that tiring, at least we think. So what's the issue? We're going to get right down to what's actually going on here. So it might be, in this case, that this is a neurological issue. This might be a neurodivergence sort of issue. Let's take it down to what's going on in our brains. I'm going to start with a comparison to a glass of water. We're slowly filling a glass of water, just drip, drip, drip. And this is a neurotypical brain processing all of the stimuli that are coming in over the day. It has ample time and ample processing ability to process what's going on, make sense of it and be okay with it. With a neurodivergent brain, that's not always the case, and things which maybe for a neurotypical brain don't take up very much energy at all, they require a disproportionate amount of processing power. So going back to the glasses, it's not just drip, drip, drip. You just empty the jug straight into the glass and before you know it, you're overflowing. And when you think that the brain as an organ is responsible for 20% of our energy usage, this actually is not that different. And when you think that the brain as an organ is responsible for 20% of our body's energy usage, and that's in a neurotypical person, much higher in a neurodivergent person, this really starts to make sense very quickly. And what people do, understandably, is they start to cut out, they start to take away. If I'm tired, I'm going to do less. I'm going to write off the weekend, I'm going to stay home, and I'm going to do absolutely nothing. Which makes sense up to a point, because we're trying to balance out our energy. If I go and expend less energy by staying home, then by Monday I'm going to be right as rain, ready for the week. Now this does have a certain amount of sense to it because we're refilling, we do need to refill. And that can fulfill that role, doing less. And particularly this does get a little bit difficult when you're neurodivergent, because we've got to consider not just repleting our physical stores of energy by doing less, we've got to consider our sensory world and what that does to us. So sometimes staying at home might be the answer, but a lot of the time we fail to recognize what we get by putting more in, or rather doing more. Like I said at the start, going out for a hike, I realize I can do this all day, and I'll feel physically tired, but I'll feel mentally alive. I'll feel recharged, I'll feel great. I'll come home from 8 hours of hiking and be able to go out and still expend social energy, and I'll be much more tired from that hour of socializing than from the 8 hours of hiking up a mountain. So this is where doing more is more for you. It's about doing more of the right thing. I've had quite a lot of clients whose first instinct is to reduce, 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 and they come and they say, well, I can't reduce anymore, but I'm absolutely knackered. And this is where I see that light bulb moment that just goes off above their head when they start thinking about, well, what can I put in I'm taking away friends, I'm taking away all my activity, and I'm just staying home and I'm still knackered. But what they don't think about is what charges me. And that can be really counterintuitive, because that might be going out all day, riding a bike, hiking, climbing, playing football. Usually it's going to be something that you can do on your own, because it's avoiding that social drainage of your battery. So that is the key reframe that's going to hopefully change your world in this respect. Start thinking more is more. Just you and your passions, what's going to start turning your brain on, and that will refill your energy. And shifting to this solo versus in company mode of when I need to recharge, usually I'm going to be doing something on my own. That's the key difference. It's usually not about am I expending physical energy or not. It's about what is draining my battery, and it's usually not the physical activity. It's the mental activity that your brain is expending, processing all of this extra stimulation of talking to people, considering what you're going to say next. That's also going to start reducing from this deluge into the glass. So more is more. Doing more of the right thing is more in terms of your energy budget. So start thinking about what you can put in instead of what you can take out.